I'm going to tell you here, I have an anecdote handy for you. I could not imagine of going through the last 3 days had I not been vaccinated. It would have been a horror show. At the worst of it is when when you get those fever dreams and you're having like nightmares at night and you're like half asleep, half awake, and you keep coming out of like the sweats and all that. It kept going back to this moment where I was thinking how much worse this could have been. But honestly, this idea now where it's like we have to effectively just ignore this as if COVID's not really a thing anymore. There's a lot more pressing issues. Have you heard about what's going on in Ukraine right now, for example? Have you heard about what's going on in Yemen? Have you heard about what's going on in Palestine? All, obviously, incredibly horrifying events. But that doesn't mean we should just ignore COVID and hope it just disappears. How are y'all doing, everybody? I am, as you probably know, a little bit sick. Doing way better than yesterday. Holy hell. Day two of COVID. Not fun. Not fun. I don't recommend it. I do recommend getting vaccinated, because getting vaccinated, oh my, it has made the entire experience completely possible from the comfort of my home. But I could not have done a stream yesterday. My voice literally sounded like this. When I woke up, it was like this until about nighttime. It was really intense. It was kind of like I had default Alex Jones voice, and I wasn't even trying. I was just straight up just like, luckily I didn't miss too much. You may hear me going through puberty, so I'm going through my third puberty, so that's fine. That's fine. COVID moves quick once you get it. Yeah. If any of you want a COVID journey story, it was basically, and I'll excuse my voice. It's going to be a little bit temperamental. I started noticing I had COVID on Monday, and then on Tuesday, I was in the full depths, but it was one of those things where everything happened so fast. Like at night, I was getting the fever and the sweats. In the morning, I was like dry heaving or something, and then by night, I was like in zombie mode. Like nothing, one of those things where like nothing brings you joy. I'm like, I'm going to play through a bunch of video games, and I beat Outlast 2, but I wasn't even proud of myself. I was just scared because that game is so scary. I tried to beat Hades and died again on Hades and wanted to eat the controller. Not throw it, but just eat it. So there was that. And yeah, and I sounded like a zombie last night. I was just straight up like, oh, it was wild. But I'm here to tell all of you, please, if you haven't already, get boosted, get vaxxed, yeah, get vaxxed, do all that stuff, because it really goes a long way. I never once was like, I need to go to a hospital, or I need help, I need the kitchen sink. You know, I tried calling Dr. Joe Rogan, he doesn't answer my calls, but even without ivermectin and all that other stuff, it's something you can get through, as long as you're vaxxed, I would say. Like, I couldn't imagine going through that for 2 days without any other kind of protection besides my old broken down immune system at this point. Lance, personal question. How is your partner with me having COVID? She, I guess, just has superior genes. It wasn't the superiority of the Anglo-Saxon race. It turns out my inferior Anglo-Saxon genes have fallen prey. No, she's fine. She hasn't caught anything. Another one of my friends who we were hanging out with over the weekend caught it, so there's that. But yeah, honey and lemon tea helped me a lot. I got that. I don't even really have a sore throat. I just have, as you can hear, a little bit of a crackle. But I do have some delicious tea. I'm not going to be doing an ASMR stream, as some of you suggested. That would have been nice, though, eh? Hi, welcome to the Serfs. I'm just going to be talking like this for the rest of the time. Gonna be nice and quiet. Your part Métis, also French. I would argue it's the French in you that did it in. Probably. The curse of the French. But here's the good news, everybody. I feel way better today for the first time. You know when you wake up and you don't feel like even slightly better and it kind of depresses you? Okay, so I'm going to start with this story. I'm going to explain to you why. As someone who has now lived through COVID for about 3 days, I can tell you, as everyone's probably told you, it ain't no joke. It sucks. It's probably better for some people, worse for others. For me, it was Not as bad as it definitely could have been, thanks to the fact that I am vaxxed and boosted. I didn't need to go to a hospital. I didn't need any professional medical care. I didn't need ivermectin or that Joe Rogan drip. As much as I would love to have that Joe Rogan drip, would have been probably wonderful. But as you can probably tell from the broadcast today, my throat's a little scratchy. Sounds like I'm going through puberty from time to time. That's okay. We'll just say it's cute. All right, we'll just go with cute. And I'm probably going to be eating lozenges during the course of the stream. I have no idea whether or not I had this BA2 variant that's going around, considering apparently something like 2/3 of cases right now, maybe the BA2 variant, could be. But I think right now is a time when a lot of people are saying COVID's done, COVID's over, and they haven't really been looking at what's happening in Hong Kong. And as you can probably see, the spike in Hong Kong is something that is definitely very concerning. Now, a lot of people are wondering what exactly is the cause for Hong Kong now leading the world in COVID deaths. Turns out it's unvaccinated seniors. Yes. Doesn't matter what your source is on this. If you go to a whole bunch of Western media, New York Times, Washington Post, you name it, they're probably all going to show the same thing. There was a period of zero COVID in Hong Kong for a while, 0 cases. And there was a lull in the vaccination of seniors, specifically for boosters. They're only at about, I think, around 23% boosted. And now they are experiencing the highest rate of COVID mortality in the world. As Hong Kong reports tens of thousands of coronavirus cases each day, the city's large population of unvaccinated elderly residents has resulted in the highest official death rate per capita of any jurisdiction during the pandemic. Only about 30% of Hong Kong residents over 80 have been double vaccinated, despite vaccines being freely available for more than a year, amid widespread vaccine hesitancy amongst the elderly. Of the 2,365 COVID-19 deaths in the city's 5th wave so far, 87% were age 60 or above, and about 90% were not fully vaccinated. Many deaths have occurred in the city's aged care facilities, 87% of which have reported infections, involving 16,200 residents, 4,470 staff members. Now, that's obviously horrifying. It's incredibly tragic. And it goes back to the people who have been profiting off vaccine fear hysteria. I'm talking about your Joe Rogans, your Jimmy Dores, your Glenn Greenwalds, your Russell Brands, everyone who's been consistently pushing out this idea that why don't they ever talk about all the complications that come from vaccines? Why don't they talk about all of the people who have experienced blood clotting from vaccines? Why don't they talk about all of these issues related to COVID-19? I'm going to tell you here, I have an anecdote handy for you. I could not imagine of going through the last 3 days had I not been vaccinated. It would have been a horror show. At the worst of it is when you get those fever dreams and you're having like nightmares at night and you're like half asleep, half awake, and you keep coming out of like the sweats and all that. It kept going back to this moment where I was thinking how much worse this could have been. That was the same thought that kept going through my head. How much worse this could have been, and I didn't need assistance. I didn't need medical assistance. I didn't have trouble breathing at any point. I've never had like extreme lung pain, anything. As you can probably tell, my voice took a bit of a beating. There's that aspect of it, but ultimately, I'm going to be doing okay. I'm going to be, I assume, even better tomorrow, stronger the next day, and then eventually strong like bull. It's only a matter of time. Day by day, I increase my powers and I weaken those of the COVID inside me. But honestly, this idea now where it's like we have to effectively just ignore this as if COVID's not really a thing anymore. There's a lot more pressing issues. Have you heard about what's going on in Ukraine right now, for example? Have you heard about what's going on in Yemen? Have you heard about what's going on in Palestine? All, obviously, incredibly horrifying events. But that doesn't mean we should just ignore COVID and hope it just disappears. I'm not someone who wants us to live in a perpetual state of fear. I'm not someone who wants us to live in a perpetual state of, masks and vaccines and all this kind of stuff. That's not what I advocate for. I usually, because I'm not a scientist myself, I'll probably tip the hat, shall we say. I'll defer to people who know much more about this topic than I do, which happens to be, in this case, the scientists.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form, available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we beseech thee to smite down our enemies. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, We are but your humble court jesters, here to amuse you. To our lords, Trevor R., we give thanks for this spit of land for us to eke out this meager existence. To our knights, Merid, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Ellie Leslie, Alex P., Brandon, Words Greenwood, Nate, that one guy, Hagbird Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Val 9000, Jenna Tall, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multi Mondi, Trevor Yanis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Cern 42, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Nkosin, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our flag in a veil, and we salute you, our friends.